Imagine that tomorrow morning, with zero preparation, you suddenly receive 10 that suddenly went viral and started making hundreds of thousands a year. This kind of thing is happening every day all around you. Maybe it never happens to you. Maybe you stay comfortably middle class forever. But what if it does? What if fortune really does pick you? What if one day a few $1,000,000 suddenly land in your lap? What then? The real question isn't whether it will happen. The real question is, if it does happen, will you be ready? Here's the dark reality almost no one talks about. People who suddenly become rich almost never manage to keep that wealth. Studies on lottery winners and instant millionaires across the world show the same terrifying pattern. They rise as fast as they fall. More than half are divorced within a few years. Many become addicted to drugs or alcohol. Many go bankrupt. Many sink into depression. Long before the money is gone, they lose their friends, they lose their family, and they lose their peace of mind. Why does this happen? Because they make one fatal mistake. They confuse wealth with wisdom. They think, now that I have money, everything will fix itself. I must know what I'm doing. But the truth is brutally simple. Keeping wealth is 100 times harder than getting it. Machiavelli saw this in the princes of his time. These were men who inherited kingdoms they never built. They never fought a war. They never struggled. They simply got the throne because of the blood and sweat of their fathers and grandfathers. Machiavelli wrote that a prince who becomes ruler purely because of fortune will keep his power only as long as fortune favors him. The day fortune turns, that prince is finished. Exactly the same is true for money. If you haven't built the habits that create wealth, if you haven't learned the discipline that protects money, that wealth will disappear faster than it arrived. So before you celebrate, before you party, before you post anything online, understand one thing very clearly. Your greatest weapon is silence. The world will tell you to shout about your success. Upload stories to Instagram, photos to Facebook, brag on Twitter, tell everyone how successful you've become. But Machiavelli's rule is the exact opposite. Those who loudly announce their victories invite others to attack them. The moment you put your wealth on display, you show your biggest vulnerability. Smart people operate differently. They believe in stealth wealth, hidden wealth. These are people who own almost everything, but from the outside it looks like they don't have anything special. Their neighbors think they live an average life. They see a normal car, regular clothes. But in reality, these people have far more influence, power, and money than anyone around them can see. Look at Cesare Borgia, a powerful ruler in 15th century Italy. Machiavelli studied him deeply and wrote about him in The Prince. Through cunning, charm, and calculated cruelty, Borgia built an entire dominion. But he learned one hard truth. When you become too visible, when you stand out too much, enemies appear automatically. His wealth and power provoked more jealousy than admiration, more envy than loyalty, and envy always invites betrayal. Now look at a modern American example, Jack Whitaker. He was an ordinary working man in the US, a construction guy, a family man. In 2002, he won the Powerball lottery, $315 million. Overnight, he became famous across America. And what did he do? He decided that since he was rich, he should be generous. He made generosity his brand. He started handing out thousands of dollars in cash to random people. He donated huge sums to churches. He bought houses for friends, gave cars to relatives. The media crowned him a hero. The newspapers praised him. The TV interviews rolled in. Everyone said, "Look how noble this man is." But slowly, after the cameras left and the media lights went out, his real life began to fall apart. His wife left him. Those friends for whom he had done so much, who got his houses, his cars, vanished when he needed them. The saddest part was his 16-year-old granddaughter. Suddenly surrounded by money and access, she drowned in luxury and drugs, and within months she died of a drug overdose. Years later, when someone asked Whitaker in an interview how he felt about winning, he said, "I wish I had torn up that lottery ticket." Think about that. After winning $315 million, a man says he wishes he'd never won. That could have come straight out of Machiavelli's philosophy. Because the first and most important rule of sudden wealth is the same as the first rule of preserving power. Hide it. Conceal it. Keep your strength and your money away from the world until they're stable, until your foundation is so strong that no one can shake it. If fortune gives you gold, behave on the outside as if nothing has changed. This isn't about humility or trying to be a saint. This is about survival. In today's America, where everyone is broadcasting their life on social media, where every little thing turns into a post or a reel, anonymity is your strongest armor. You might think, "I'm smart. I can control the attention. I'll manage the narrative. I'll decide who knows what." But Machiavelli would remind you what human nature is really like. People are fickle, envious, jealous. The moment they get even a small hint that you have something they don't, they start testing your boundaries. They start seeing how much they can pull out of you. And the most dangerous part is that even your closest people, your friends, your family, start unconsciously comparing their lives to yours. Comparison always breeds jealousy, resentment, and distance. So how do you actually protect your wealth and yourself in a culture that worships visibility, where everyone wants to be famous and seen? How do you stay hidden and still move forward? How do you remain unseen and still rise in power? The answer is not just silence. The answer is structure. Privacy is not only about who you tell or don't tell. It's about how you structure your wealth, how you organize it, how you give it legal protection. The second rule of sudden wealth is Machiavelli's art of disguise applied to money. Concealment through structure. You can't just be rich. You have to learn how truly rich people move, unseen, untouchable, protected behind legal walls that turn your wealth into an invisible fortress. Machiavelli taught that a prince must build fortresses, not just of stone, but of strategy. In your case, that fortress is a life that looks normal. Even if you tell no one, people will sense something has changed. People smell money the way wolves smell blood. They notice small things, your new habits, your increased confidence, tiny lifestyle upgrades. The world teaches you to display success. Machiavelli teaches you to disguise it. So who should you tell first? Not your friend. not your sibling, not even your parents. The first person you should tell is a good attorney, a modern consigliere who understands trusts, foundations, holding companies, tax shields, all the structures that real wealth uses. Because real wealth is almost never held directly in your own name. It is structured. When Machiavelli advised princes to rule through intermediaries, through middlemen, he was teaching the same principle. Power works best when it flows through layers and when its true source is hidden. In today's America, that means using trusts that don't scream your name, holding companies that shield your assets, and professionals, lawyers, accountants, advisors, who quietly handle your affairs while your public life appears unchanged. This kind of discretion isn't paranoia. Discretion is power. Jack Whitaker shouted his wealth and died hollow. The Rothschilds built their wealth and stayed almost invisible for centuries. The Rothschilds are a European banking family who have been among the richest in the world since the 18th century. Yet very few people really know them because they rarely came into the spotlight. Even when they financed wars and lent money to kings, they lived modestly, calmly, almost boringly. They let their influence speak louder than their lifestyle. That's stealth wealth, the aristocracy of silence. People will tell you, don't quit your job. I disagree, but with nuance. The point isn't that you must keep your exact job. The point is that you must keep your momentum. Work keeps your mind sharp and your ego humble. Machiavelli wrote that idleness, having nothing to do, makes a man weak and soft. The real danger of sudden wealth isn't just spending. It's stagnation, stopping, drifting. So don't stop working. Just stop doing work that drains your spirit or destroys your autonomy. If your job suffocates you, then leave it, but on your terms, not as an escape, but as a statement of sovereignty. Find a new rhythm. Stay active. Stay useful. A working person stays focused. An idle person becomes prey to their own impulses. Look at the richest people of our era. Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, didn't scatter his energy across random projects. He built one fortress, Amazon, and methodically expanded it. Warren Buffett, America's legendary investor, spent decades refining one craft, investing. Even in his 90s, he still gets up to work. They understand what Machiavelli understood. Focus is a form of power. Consistency is a weapon. The prince who scatters his attention weakens his defenses. The person who spreads their money too thin invites collapse. Once your habits and identity are stable, it's time to secure your finances against invisible threats. Not the stock market, not the IRS, but debt. Machiavelli warned rulers to eliminate internal dangers before external ones. He wrote that a disease caught early is easy to cure, but if neglected, it becomes incurable. Debt is exactly that kind of disease. High-interest loans, credit card balances, payday loans, these are silent killers feeding on your carelessness. When your bank account is full, they feel trivial, like small things. But compound interest grows faster than greed. A 20% interest rate can devour a fortune faster than a thief. Treat debt like a rebellion inside your walls, an uprising inside your fortress, and crush it first. Pay off your high-interest debts before you invest a single dollar anywhere else. This is the one guaranteed return in the world of money. If you eliminate a 20% interest burden, you've effectively earned 20% risk-free. Then look at your other debts, your car loan, personal loans, even your mortgage. If the rate is high, pay them down aggressively. If the rate is low, 2 or 3%, you might keep them and use your cash to earn more elsewhere. That's not stinginess. That's strategy. A wise ruler doesn't spend to look rich. He spends to stay rich. When you get rid of debt, you're not just cleaning your balance sheet. You're buying back your peace of mind, erasing that subtle anxiety that gnaws at every decision, silencing the inner voice that says, "This money is temporary." Without that noise, you start thinking like a king, not like a servant. But even with a strong fortress and no debt, your greatest danger is still ahead. It won't come from markets or taxes. It will come from emotions, especially other people's emotions. When you become rich, you don't just attract opportunities, you awaken hunger in the people closest to you. That hunger will test you in ways no spreadsheet can predict. Once you've built your fortress and wiped out your debt, a new kind of war begins. The war of emotions. Machiavelli said people will hurt a man who wants to be loved more easily than a man who chooses to be feared. In money, the real danger doesn't come from declared enemies. It comes from friends and family, from people who feel entitled to your wealth. When you suddenly rise, they start telling themselves stories. You owe me. You just got lucky. You couldn't have made it without me. These stories come from emotion, not logic. Their intentions might not be evil, but jealousy doesn't announce itself. It arrives quietly. The fifth rule of sudden wealth is brutally simple. Never lend money to friends or family. The moment you do, you turn relationships into transactions. If they can't pay you back, resentment grows. If they do pay you back, they feel permanently indebted. Either way, you lose. Machiavelli warned princes. Never give what you cannot take back without creating hatred. The same applies to money. When people believe you have unlimited money, they start testing your limits. Just a small loan, just this one time. It's an emergency. Say no once, you're the villain. Say yes once, and you've become the bank, the walking ATM. So what's the way out? Smart generosity. If someone you truly care about is in real trouble, a serious illness, a genuine crisis, help them generously, but only once, and never call it a loan. Tell them clearly, this is a gift. You never have to pay it back. But there's one condition. You will never ask me for money again. That single condition changes the whole equation. You remain generous, but you're not weak. Ironically, that boundary will save the relationship in the long run. Machiavelli's understanding of mercy fits perfectly here. It is better to cause one sharp pain once than to suffer small pains every day. Be clear, not cruel. Decide once and move on. Look at modern American examples. Athletes who grew up poor and then signed multi-million-dollar contracts often lose everything, not mainly because of bad investments, but because of generosity. They start supporting everyone, dozens of people, entire extended families, hometown crews, and they become prisoners of guilt. When the money starts to dry up, those same people disappear. Take Mike Tyson. In the 1980s and 90s, he was the most famous boxer on the planet, heavyweight champion of the world. Over his career, he earned more than $300 million. Within about a decade, he was bankrupt. His wealth wasn't destroyed only by his own spending. It was destroyed by the countless hands reaching for it. Money reveals the truth. Who really wants you, and who only wants what you can give. People are loyal only as long as they're benefiting, so your strength can't rest on their love. It has to rest on your boundaries. To protect your wealth, you'll sometimes look cold. But remember, without control, even steel breaks. And without heart, control turns into abuse. The trick is to be like the sun, warm at a distance, untouchable up close. Once you've understood generosity and boundaries, another temptation waits for you: spending. This is where more people have fallen than on any battlefield in history. The sixth rule of sudden wealth is old but always true. Never eat the principal. Live only off the earnings. The rich who stay rich treat money like farmland. They harvest the crops without destroying the soil. The poor who become rich treat money like firewood. They burn their own foundation for a little warmth. Consider a family in California who won a huge lottery. Tens of millions of dollars. What did they do? They bought a mansion, luxury cars, put their kids into expensive private schools, filled their lives with designer everything. Within 2 years, they had to sell the house for half of what they paid. Their wealth didn't just vanish. It was eaten alive by debt, taxes, and bad decisions. They broke